Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Hello, friends. Kirk and Josh coming to you just before midnight on February 11th. It's a Saturday, and the Dallas Mavericks just lost to the Sacramento Kings in an overtime game, 133-128. Josh, how are you?
I'm doing okay. We're through this West Coast gauntlet, so things are going to be easier, at least for us, next week.
This has been a dumb, and I mean this in the best way possible, because you sign on to do this stuff, but it's like starting Sunday at noon, it has basically been a beat down of stuff. Every 6 hours we have something to do, whether it's game, whether it's Kyrie, whether it's something else. So this was a long week.
Yeah, for sure. So you said right before we started, this is a loss. You want to get into what we like first?
So, it's Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving's first game together. Kind of a feeling out first quarter. The Sacramento Kings were clearly more awake in this game. Definitely took the Mavericks more seriously. Really punished Dallas in 2-point range. I think an ongoing theme that will just continue the rest of the year, at least until Maxi Kleber gets back, is teams should not be afraid to attack Dallas in the paint, and that was what Sacramento did all night long. The Mavericks at certain points of this game were down by double figures in the first half, and then what happened was in the final 3 minutes of the second quarter, it occurred to Dallas, particularly Kyrie and Luka Doncic, that those two are better than every player that Sacramento has. And that was just the difference. Like, they out-talented Sacramento. Then in in elements of this game in the third quarter and really parts of the second quarter, Jason Kidd got too cute by half. I think his lineup decisions and some of his substitution patterns in this game were horrendous and kind of, were basically why they lost the game, if we're looking at the big picture. And so things got away from Dallas in the second half, despite closing out pretty well. The game went into overtime, and Sacramento just took advantage of Dallas not being able to protect the paint, and the Mavericks lost. There were some other reasons. Kyrie Irving really played a fantastic fourth and overtime, but it was not enough as the Mavericks fell.
Yeah, and high level view, it's not too hard to find, positives or not get too down. First off, Kings are good.
Yeah,
they're not a fluky team. They got the best offense in the NBA. Playing them at home, they play well at home. That's a good home crowd. If you are a Mavs fan that wasn't born, 15 years ago, if you're in your 30s, you definitely remember those playoff games in Sacramento in the mid-2000s with Dirk and like that. They got a good home crowd when the team is good. And the team is good. The second half of back-to-back, third and fourth nights. It's really hard to beat teams 2 games in a row in the regular season because just the way the regular season goes, you don't have a lot of practice, you don't have a lot of scouting. So it's just hard. So And then you look and Kyrie and Luka, both 28 points for Kyrie, 27 for Luka in their debut together. They both shot it pretty efficiently for the most part. Josh Green had another bananas game.
That's the game that I'm really mad. Losing a really good Josh Green game. If you're going to be frustrated by something, that's what you want to be frustrated from, because Green shooting 66% from the floor and playing, he had to guard De'Aaron Fox, and he tried his best. Fox is incredible. He's an all-star. So it's it's losing the Green game. That's probably the only thing that really sort of chaps my ass, because for me, a good Josh Green game is going to be 12 points and 4 rebounds and connective defense and hustling his ass off. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, with the way he's been playing lately, I don't know if it's necessarily a waste, because he's kind of setting some pretty crazy expectations for himself.
Sure.
So maybe he's going to drop 23 in his next game. Who knows? I mean, he's been playing pretty ridiculous lately. But I know what you mean. He played, offensively at least, he played a really good game. And so
defensively is something we should probably talk about in the back half. But I'm not. That's a team issue in which he contributes.
Right. So, you look at that and it's this happens, it's not like they got run off the floor. They lost a close game in overtime.
Yep.
So, all that considered, definitely, you said it in Slack, this isn't necessarily a game to be mad at. But I don't know how to say it. I'm not mad at the result. I think I'm more mad at some of the process.
And I'll just tee you up, because you can talk about this stuff a little bit better than I can. The past 3 games we've seen Dallas run plays and run offense, and then Luka comes back and they don't do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah,
they just don't do it. Even when Luka's not bringing up the ball, they just don't. Luka would go stand above the break with his hands on his knees. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic ran very few actions together, except for post-entry passes. What are we doing? That was really awful.
Yeah, that was, I counted, I might have miscounted, but I only counted 2 times where one of them screened for the other. Kyrie.
What a waste of resources.
Kyrie screened for Luka, I think, in the 3rd or 4th quarter, and then Luka screened for Kyrie in the 4th or overtime. And both instances were just to do the bum hunting isolation thing. It wasn't like they were real pick and rolls where they could roll into open space. It was just the pure, let me try to get a switch for you type of pick and roll, which is still a useful tool, but considering it's the only
tool.
Yeah. It was, we talked about this, what was it going to look like if this team came out and did what? Now, thankfully, the offense was still good. They didn't lose this game because
when you have 2 of the best offensive players in basketball, it's going to be really hard to have a bad offense.
Yeah, the talent won out, even if the process was bad. They still, the team shot almost 52% from the floor. They were 20 of 51 from 3. They lost this game because they couldn't get any stops against De'Aaron Fox. But the process-wise was just infuriating, as they kind of wilted a little bit in the 4th quarter. And in overtime, again, if their defense is just marginally, just a scotch better, we're not having this conversation, I don't think. But we are, but we're not animated about it.
One of the things we talked about extensively the last week was Luka Doncic is never going to see a double again. Guess what? He saw a lot of tonight.
A ton of doubles.
And where the hell was Kyrie standing? On in the far corner? Or all the way across the court? Can you not put Kyrie Irving in the center of the floor? I promise Luka can find him.
Yeah, the only time it happened was when it was Kyrie throwing the entry into the post and Luka was posting. But yeah, when Luka was getting those double teams in the pick and roll at the top of the key, and Kyrie was not.
Let me be clear, because I think with some of my thoughts about Kyrie Irving, the everything else, the non-basketball player, let me be clear. When I'm making this criticism, it is at the coaching staff. Because everybody's been talking about this for a week, and then Luka gets a soft double up at the corner, and he has to pass to Dwight. I don't get it. You can place other players in different parts of the floor. You can. I promise it can happen. Just because he's a center doesn't mean he needs to go to the free throw line. I feel nuts.
Yeah,
now that I'm
that's part of
this.
That's fine. I unlocked it in you. I'm so happy. That's part of it, but also like so much of this is on Luka and just
Okay, let's talk about that because I agree.
I mean, literally, I think what was really discouraging about this game is we saw 3 straight games where the ball was moving, off ball movement, like you said. We're seeing sets being run that we haven't seen before. So many dribble handoffs, so many like curl down, pin down screens, and the dribble handoffs. Well, there's stuff going on in the other action. And game one, Luka back. And by the way, all they're talking about this whole time when Luka's back is like, yeah, like they're gonna do it. They're like the reporters ask the questions like, hey, the team's kind of playing a little differently, a little free, a little loose, a little faster. Like, you guys gonna do this when Luka comes back? I think Josh Green was like, oh yeah, he's totally on board. Like, we're gonna do it. Like, this is gonna happen. They're too good. And game one, it's right back to Harden ball, like just walking the ball up the court, Luka pounding the ball out of the pounding the air out of the ball while Kyrie is standing in the corner. And I'm just like, what are we doing here? And again, the guys are so good that like Luka was still scoring. Like again, they still scored plenty of points and their offense was plenty efficient because the talent is just so good. And maybe that's the end answer. Like the talent is so good that we're just kind of nitpicking, but it just feels like a lot of meat left on the bone. And it's just really frustrating.
Like, which can be attributed to practice. It can be attributed to time together on the floor. But these guys are two smart basketball players. And this, I've been hinting.
Where was the adjustment for Kyrie in game? Like, there was no game one, like, oh, he was just adjusting and settling in. Game one, immediately, he's moving off the ball.
Yeah, he was great.
Stuff like that. Like,
I have precisely zero Kyrie criticism. Okay. I can't think of anything because he was the reason the game was close. Where I'm leveling criticism is Coach and Luka. And of course, in the post game, like there was so for everybody that didn't see the game because you didn't want to stay up late, the Kings go up on a pair of free throws when the Mavericks have to foul because Jason Kidd the last minute was a coaching disaster by the Mavericks. They messed up almost every opportunity that they had from a coaching level. I don't want to go through the whole thing because that would take 15 minutes, but just to give you an example of what we're talking about, Kyrie Irving sinks a 3 because the Mavericks are down 4, all right? Mavericks are down 4. Incredible shot by Kyrie going right, and it really, the game was over by that point, but that gave the Mavericks hope because the Mavericks had screwed up trying to go for a 2 for, they should have gone for a 2 for 1 with around 40 seconds left, but they didn't do it for whatever reason. And again, I'm laying that on the coach. And so there's a free throw game at this point with the Mavericks down by 1 with 24 seconds left. So they have to foul Fox. Fox goes to the line and hits both. The Mavericks call a timeout. Okay. The play that they get out of the timeout is the laziest variation on the Luka's going to take a step back shot I've ever seen. And if you're going to and it's with
is that coaching though? Is that coaching though?
I'm laying it on them because Kidd in the post game says this. A lot of times he can make those shots, he being Luka. So it was a read between Kai and LD. And again, for the first time late game, being together on both ends, I thought we did a really good job. So overanalyzing that quote, what I'm reading is they either broke the play or they did not have a play. And from what I've seen from the coaching staff this year, tend to think they don't have a play.
I know, but we've just been through two coaching we've still been through 2 coaching staffs now, and that's the play every time. And it's every time. It's every single time.
But that's with 2 seconds left, not with 15.
True. Yeah, no, that was especially
that's where my real rub lies, because it's like, oh, okay, so we just get to lose this game more slowly after he hits that shot.
Yeah, anyway, that was rough.
That element was just a descriptor of what I'm talking about, where it's like you have 2 of the best offensive players in basketball, and the best thing you get is a slight rub screen and Luka taking a pseudo step back at the wing. You got to do better. Everyone has to do better. If it's Luka, if it's Kidd, I don't care. Do better.
Yeah, it's just, I think what even this is really nitpicking, but what really got me mad at was they didn't even fake it for they didn't even the first couple of possessions in the first quarter try to even if it was just to put on a show, like try to do something different. Like it was instantly right back into like Luka walk it up, hold the ball offense. And I'm just like, man, like, and Kyrie did that too. And it was very much your turn, my turn. I mean, there was just little synergy between the two, other than the fact that they're just two incredible shot makers, and them just holding the ball and shooting a shot it ends up being a pretty decent basketball play because they're just such incredible shot makers. But it's just when it doesn't work, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. And there were some possessions in the fourth quarter and overtime that they couldn't answer. And it was just like, man, like you guys, you have to figure it out. And then, like, the excuses are over for Luka. Obviously, it's just game one, but like, but man, it's like, do you really need that many games to go set a screen? Like, do you like these guys?
No, this is basketball. These two
players. They know how to do it.
These are two of the brightest basketball minds on the earth. Offensively. Defensively, Luka, maybe not so much. Kyrie, 6'2". I don't really expect it. Like, though he did have a really kick-ass block of Sabonis that I liked. I just this is just one of those that you're like, come on, guys. Like, the big picture, it's
like
it's
right back to the bullshit. Is just the annoying part of it. Like, how many games have we seen the Mavericks lose just like this? But before it was like, oh, well, they don't have anyone next to Luka, and now it's like, oh, they had like they still lost the same way that they lose a lot of these close games. Like, it followed the exact same script. But before it was like, well, they just need to get more talent. And now this time it's like, well, fuck, they had Kyrie on the floor too. Like the excuse, like it just makes it even more maddening. It's like they finally did the trade for the big talent, and they still lose a close game in the way that they lose every single close game in the last 3 years.
Yes.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, I have to tease Matthew. Matthew just turned in a recap with the wrong score. I think when he wrote 2 recaps in a row, I think he was like, I think he copied and pasted his headline. That I have definitely done that. So I'm not. I just got to tease him a little bit. But I don't know. This was this will just be one of those that you live and learn from. The Kings are a pretty good measuring stick because the Kings are good out west. The Mavericks have the inside track to a top 4 seed. They just need to continue to win the games in the right way that are in front of them. Mm-hmm. And they've had enough dumb losses to where you'd figure they'd get some of these out of their system. But now to kind of continue to circle to the things that are challenging for this team is like the Mavericks gave up 74 points in the paint.
Dude, have you seen the shot chart for the Kings?
They
24 of 31 at the rim, 13 of 25 in the paint outside the rim.
Yeah.
That's what is that? That's 37 shots in the paint for the Kings. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yes.
So that was bad. They didn't play Fox. Like, Fox is really good, but they didn't have a good game plan for him at all. Would have liked to seen some more trapping. I mean, they just kind of let him go, against the switch, and the Mavericks just don't have the horses for that outside of maybe Josh Green, or they played drop. And, when you played drop against a guard that you don't care if he shoots, walks in to pull up threes, which again, Fox was 0-4 on threes. But like, these players are so good now that like playing drop against a guy like Fox is almost just as bad as playing drop against someone like Damian Lillard, because you're just giving a runway to like one of the fastest, most athletic point guards in the league. And he took it. He was like, thank you for the extra space. I'm going to go full speed into your no rim protection, because as much as we like Powell's hustle and, McGee and Wood, like they just don't have anyone that's guarding the rim right now. And he took advantage. He just continually went full speed.
Well, he's got that like MVP level. Like when Russell Westbrook was really good at basketball, he had that 10-footer down bang. And
oh my God, Fox has that for sure.
It was beautiful. It was really something to watch.
Little change of pace, kind of Euro step floater he does he's so good at that. Yeah.
Well, all right. There's other things that were that I think we got to mention before we get on out of here. Like there's the elements of when you look at the box score, the 10 minutes played by Theo Pinson and the 17 minutes played by Jaden Hardy were ultimately where the Mavericks lost this basketball game. Kids' continued insistence on playing, and I'm just going to do this. I don't care. Theo, appreciate you. You're a big player in the podcast game. I'm glad that the Mavericks decided to give you a contract. I'm glad that's working out for you. But between like you're not allowed to be really bad and play like you think you're good. Like I'm probably not describing that well, but it's like his body language is like I'm the coolest motherfucker while getting his ass kicked. It's a real like there was a couple of plays where he had to help on Fox and then just got shook off and like it was like watching bad pickup. And I can't. You know, he hit one like bullshit corner three that went in front of the bench. That was funny, but he just like and I'm really frustrated with him. But I'm much more frustrated that goes back to the process of the fact that he has to play it all. Okay, right. He was signed as a cheerleader, so you give up 2 key rotation pieces, right? And then he plays. So what? And you know, to add insult to injury, we've not really talked about this tonight, but we were under the impression for most of the day that Terrence Ross was going to sign with the Mavericks. So all of us have kind of been collectively talking about how Terrence Ross is going to suck up some of these minutes, right?
Right.
And so you have Theo playing, period. He has to play. I don't know why he has to play, actually, but let's just back that up.
I think it's because Kid was tired of the Frank minutes because Frank was taking those minutes. So
sure, both them suck too. So how many guys have to suck? Like put Marcus Morris in or whichever Morris brother we have. Like I don't
put AJ Lawson in. You know,
do something. I'm tired of watching Pinson. I'm tired of watching Frank, who was all Frank was like 6 minutes of just nothing ball. And then the Pinson minutes where, that's where the game was effectively lost to be. And it's not all his fault,
but he did get up 4 shots in 10 minutes.
They let him run the offense. Like, what are we doing? That's some criminal stuff. And then there's like poor Jaden Hardy, who's a different deal.
Right. I'm not mad at it, because he's a rookie. Like you're going to have the good games. You're going to have bad games,
And he had a bad game again, second game in a row. That's okay. Well, no, he played pretty good last night. Sorry.
Yeah, he did.
My brain's tired. And he hit one, like I bet if he took that shot 100 times off the front of the rim, 3-point make that bounced off the front, hit the backboard, went. Like it was just something else. And like those 2 guys getting sufficient or significant minutes, that happened in no small part because Tim Hardaway did not play the second half. But again, guys, let's go through the order of operations. Tim Hardaway, who we don't want to play, like collectively, the most Mavs fans are pretty fed up with Tim's minutes. Like that's just fact. Because Tim goes down, Theo Pinson then has to play more, who we don't want to play. Then Jaden Hardy has to play more, who we want to play, but we know is maybe not ready for it. And then that means if those guys aren't working out, Frank Ntilikina, it's like this is what Josh and I have talked about as far as roster building is concerned. You cannot ignore like 2 to 3 roster positions. You need NBA players. Theo Pinson, if he got cut today, no other NBA team would pick him up unless they needed a vibes guy.
This is advertiser content brought to you by Frito-Lay.
Hello, I'm Chip Murphy, here to get you ready for the big tournament. Tonight we'll break down who will be cutting. Cut! What are you 2 doing?
Sorry, Chip. Prez here got his feathers ruffled when I told him Ruffles has 0 chance of winning the title.
And I was letting Dip know that she is not taking into account Ruffles' iconic ridges.
Guys, it's March. We have to start talking about the tournament.
We are. It is the 2023 Frito-Lay Snack It.
We're talking about big-time matchups between Cheetos, Smart Food, Lay's, Sun Chips, and more.
Just head to the Frito-Lay Snack Bracket and vote for your favorite chip, pretzel, or dip for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks.
This sounds great. Keep up the good work.
Just go to fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends 4/3/2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com.
Right. Yeah. And it was just... Yeah, the Hardaway injury really stings. The Theo stuff is he had a block shot, which was really nice. And then he came down the floor and took like
He's like, I'm going to shoot
a pull-up transition three. It was like, what the fuck are you doing?
I'm Theo Pinson. Like, cool, you're the handshake guy. What are we doing?
And then we haven't said it yet, but to add insult to all of this is that Terrence Ross is now going to sign with the Phoenix Suns. I know how many times we've talked about this, and we're talking like buyout guys are nice, but like don't expect them to significantly change the trajectory of your season, because normally they're just guys, and there's a reason they're getting bought out. It's tough for me to like. I don't know why this is hitting me in the gut so hard. I think it's because it's the combination of like being totally fed up with the Pinson minutes and the Hardaway injury, which, like it or not, Hardaway has to play.
Yeah,
but, like we talk about like, hey, they need to reduce Hardaway's minutes. Like, I mean, for who? Like it, like it or not, he's a very crucial part of the team now, especially since they exchanged 2 rotation players for 1 with the Kyrie trade. Like there's no way out of it. Like Josh Green played 40 minutes tonight. Like I don't know what else you know what I mean? Like that conversation is gone. So like someone has to play, and Hardaway, I would much, for all his faults, I would be like, I mean, no sane person would want Pinson or Frank to play more than Tim Hardaway Jr. right now. So Ross was going to be like, I don't know if he would have been a different type of buyout guy, but he's like 6'7", can shoot off the move. I mean, he felt like the kind of guy, how the Mavs do really well at like just bringing in these kind of misfit toys, and they come and play, whether it's they're playing next to Luka or before Luka, it was like playing in Rick Six's system next to Dirk. Like the Mavs just have a history of getting those types of guys that kind of fall out of favor, but still like have some talent left in them and just squeeze the blood from the stone. And like Ross felt like that kind of guy to me, like just kind of toiling away on these bad Orlando teams. Like the idea of him becoming a guy that can come off your bench and play 18 to 20 minutes, relieve Hardaway. Like he's 6'7", he still has some juice, some bounce to his game. He's still a decent athlete. Yeah, he's gonna take shots that drive you absolutely nutty, kind of like Hardaway. But like he's just another guy. You know what I mean? It's just different. And boy, that would have been really nice. I especially right now, especially with the Hardaway injury. I kind of get like I actually kind of feel dumb that I didn't think about like the Suns sooner, because like he's probably going to be starting.
Yeah, they need depth. They need depth worse than the Mavericks do. Right. If we're being,
he might be the like. Is it like, hey, do you want to come off the bench for the Mavs, or do you want to start for the Phoenix Suns and start?
Do you want to play like 25 minutes? Because the Mavericks would have, and that's what. Yeah, that's what changed it.
And so it's like, I see people getting mad, like, oh, Nico got hustled, and like the Mavericks can't close a free agency, and I get it. Like it sucks that it keeps happening. This kind of bad, the free agent blunder kind of stuff keeps happening. But this is a case where it's like, I mean, come on, like it's hard to blame the Mavericks when that Sun situation kind of presented itself for him. So, but it just sucks because now it's like I don't know. He was probably the best wing option on the buyout market. So I don't know what they're going to do, but they can't keep doing these.
Well, I don't know. I don't pay attention to buyout guys because I'm tired of getting upset at that sort of thing. But this gives me a clean runway to pivot to the other thing that I want to talk about, where Kid is going with these JaVale McGee minutes again, and the announce crew, which the announce crew over the last several years has become much more of a very. They really, they support the Mavericks, and that's fine. That's how every announce crew is now. So this is not a criticism of that. But they played up the JaVale McGee minutes because JaVale, they talked about how JaVale's been more confident since Kyrie's been there. JaVale was part of the stretch where things became unraveled, where he just started doing dumb stuff. I don't know how to describe it better than that, other than it needed Benny Hill music. It was awful.
He was getting worked by Sabonis,
which is okay. Sabonis is good.
He's an all-star. But yeah, I understand why he played, because he basically had his 2 best games of the season back to back against the Clippers and the Kings. So he's going to get another chance. But yeah, again, it was just. I think this kind of ties in another thing. So not only are Theo and these guys getting minutes, I don't think Kid balanced the rotation in a good way tonight.
Okay.
Luka still played, Luka Green and Kyrie still played 40, they each played at least 40 minutes. But there was just something like they just went long stretches where it was like no Kyrie, no Luka, Theo, McGee, or maybe just one Kyrie, one Luka. But you're playing Theo and you're playing McGee and you're playing Hardy like all at the same time. And I understand that like Theo and Hardy and McGee, like these guys have to play because there's no one else to play.
Right.
But I wish they just would have done a better job of.
Well, Kid's not good at rotations. Like I'm okay saying that.
Like playing them all at the same time, like you're just compounding the issue, with the situation you find yourself in. Like maybe play Theo with the 3 other starters. Maybe try to mix it up a little bit.
If you're gonna do that, then you need to like look at weak links. And I don't want to see a JaVale McGee, Theo Pinson pick and roll. Like that cannot be allowed to happen.
Right. So that was another thing that kind of annoyed me. But again, they had 3 guys that played 40 minutes tonight. So
right. And so it's like you go from McGee, and then there's one more person that we should probably talk about, and that's Christian Wood and whatever's going on with him. Like 18 minutes again, 15 points. He had some big threes. He kind of kept the game close for the starters. Actually they were ahead. They were ahead in the fourth quarter, and I think they might have been ahead when he exited the game.
He kept the offense afloat in the fourth when Luka was on the floor.
Because he had 9 of his 15 points were from threes. He was, otherwise he was. He's a confusing player. Kid, he's on the team, so Kid needs to figure out how to use him. And you get 18 minutes for him, and then 17 minutes for Hardy. Something's not right there. I know they don't play the same position, but a little weird is all.
Yeah, they might need to go back, do they need to go back to McGee being out of the rotation and give those additional 11 minutes to Wood? Maybe. The thing that's been tough is that, Wood hasn't been – this game was definitely better. This was definitely his best game since coming back from the injury, but the 3 previous ones he was bad.
Wood finished in -9. I guess I didn't realize that. -9.
His defense wasn't good. He only had 3 rebounds in 18 minutes.
He's block hunting like nobody's business.
He really is.
He's chasing blocks, and he doesn't have – here's the real thing, and this will make our guy Matthew Phillips mad if he listens to this. He doesn't have the timing to block hunt. He's huge and has long arms, but it's like when he misses a block, when him and McGee miss blocks, you're just giving the other team points because you're out of position on rebounds. That's bad.
Yeah, that wasn't great. And then the thing with Wood, since he's come back from injury, the body language is just not ideal. He misses a shot and he looks like the game's over. And it's like, dude, just you missed a shot. It's okay. Everyone misses shots. Get back on defense and just try to make it up on that end. It's but he misses a shot and it's head hanging down, just jogging back up the court. And it's come on, man. And it's when you combine that with his tweets about I'm hooping, look at my efficiency. And you said he was barking at a fan about his efficiency in I can't remember if it was last night or
it was last night. Yeah.
And it's and then you see him get so despondent when he misses a shot that it's how can you not look at all that and be he doesn't care about the process, the result of the game. He just cares about his numbers, and that's a harsh thing to say about a professional basketball player. I know that's the kiss of death for a guy if you're talking about having a winning team and a winning culture. But man, it's just hard to avoid that narrative when you kind of see what he's been doing on the floor the last couple games. But again, like you said, he's on the roster and they traded for him. So use him.
Are we just trying and I'm all over the map. I change my thing moment to moment about beyond this season, but this sort of stuff is basically guaranteeing he walks away whether or not the Mavericks offer him money or not, because it just doesn't seem like there's a relationship there. If I'm him, I'm very frustrated that JaVale McGee goes in before me because it's JaVale McGee and it's 2023. And we've seen enough, JaVale McGee compared to the difference in the two of these guys. McGee's mistakes are so much more egregious than Wood's. It's a different deal. I don't know. I find myself I'm trying not to overreact to the frustration here because it's I'm looking at the big picture in the sense of the Mavericks are 12-18 on the road this year. So they played 30 games, but they've won 3 of their 12 games in the last week. So
they're doing better.
Yeah. it's like they play 2 more games. They play Minnesota, who is going to be interesting. That's going to be quite a fun matchup, to be honest. Then they play Denver. And so, I'd been wondering if they were going to go into All-Star break with a 500 record. Well, they're 4 games above 500.
So
There's
they'll
a lot
be
of
all right.
stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we could be happy about. I just think that there's some real fatal flaws in this roster that if they get exposed on the right night, they're going to look really, really bad. But then the counterpoint is I think most nights, regular season wise, I feel very comfortable picking the Mavericks in a given game. I just do.
Yeah, this is the type of game, like if they played like this against a non-playoff team, they would have won. And like that's kind of the nice, having more stars in the regular season, you can get away with playing a bad defensive game. You can get away with some things because you have 2 guys, like if you have the 2 best players on the floor, like it's hard to lose. But they just happen to play a team tonight that also has 2 All-Stars. That's also pretty good. So they lost in overtime. But yeah, I know what you mean. It was just weird. It's like macro level. The macro view is like, this is fine, not a big deal. It happens. It's just, it's a loss against a good team in overtime.
Yeah.
But I think it's just because we saw the same mistakes and we see the same mistakes over and over. It's just like that.
Yeah.
That stuff just kind of eats away at you.
I don't know. I keep coming back to like my bigger picture thing is that I think that Luka Doncic needs to be coached harder. He needs to be pushed in a direction. Somebody, it doesn't matter who, but it's somebody who knows a lot about basketball, whose opinion both you and I value a lot, said this to me during the game tonight. And he said, this will work if Luka Doncic wants it to work and changes how he plays. He doesn't have to change that much, but he has to change some stuff. And, I spent the last day hearing from a lot of our wonderful overseas fans and listeners about how Luka can do this. I believe him. I believe all of them. I need to see it, though. I need to see it.
Yep, for sure.
So.
I can't put it really any better than that.
All right, we got a day off, and then we're back here with the Wolves. Then we got the Nuggets, and then we're on All-Star break. I will say it's been very evident in like our metrics where the football season is over for a lot of you, and you're like, hey guys, welcome. So welcome back to basketball. We hopefully have some new listeners that are Kyrie super fans. When it comes to the basketball stuff, I'm really enjoying the Kyrie experience so far. It's very different. And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more like in depth over the All-Star break while we're kind of looking for specific things to talk about. But this is the make or break portion of the year. They got about 23 games left in the season. It's weird, like All-Star break being with 20 games. Like I remember it
used to be closer to the middle point a little bit.
It's late. It's also just later because of when Valentine's week. Because for several years, I feel like it fell on Valentine's Day, and like my wife doesn't really care, but it's also like cool, another thing basketball overtakes. But yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll be back. We talked for a long time. We'll have I'll have a live show up tomorrow afternoon. We did a lot of content this weekend. I'm going to go watch my team in the Super Bowl tomorrow and try not to have a panic attack as
have fun tomorrow.
Like I followed the Eagles all year, but it's like, it's one thing to like hear in podcast form when they like read through their defensive linemen and it's like, oh no. Like that guy plays 14 snaps. Like that guy would start on most teams. What the shit?
Yeah, they're crazy.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we will talk to you on Monday. Thanks so much for listening. Stop by Mavs Moneyball and give us a rating and review if that's your thing. Bye, guys.